I'd like to begin by expressing my strong support for charters and for public school choice, which charters represent. I would like to also say that I have prepared many students at Harvard University who have gone out to run charters and teach in charters, and I am very, very pleased with their work. Charters represent a tremendous opportunity for special populations. Parents of children with disabilities need choices. Parents who are very affluent often move from one district to another to find a school that is accepting of their children and provides good support. Middle and low-income parents do not have that option. And charter schools provide that option for many parents of children with disabilities in this country, and that should be supported and increased. Charter schools are viewed by many activists within various special populations as an opportunity to address issues that have been poorly addressed in traditional systems. For instance, the National Council of La Raza is supporting the establishment of over 50 charter schools to expand opportunities for children who are English language learners. The Chime Charter School in Los Angeles was designed by parents of children with disabilities who were seeking inclusive options for their children. Also, charters, many charters, certainly charters that I have looked at in my research, often are based on the principles of individualization and often employ strong efforts in direct instruction. These are exactly the sort of things that many children with disabilities, as well as other children who struggle, need. The problem, as I see it, as it relates to charters, and I keep having to pronounce that explicitly with my Boston accent, charters, is under-enrollment. That if you look at charters in many places, the number of kids with disabilities who are enrolled in those charters is significantly below what exists in traditional schools. For instance, in San Diego, where I've done research in 05-06, the percentage of children in what are called non-conversion charters, in other words, charters that start from scratch, is 5.8 compared to 12% of the overall traditional public school population. Also in San Diego, very few children with complex disabilities are enrolled in charters. When I did my research, there were only 3. This is 3 individual children with mental retardation enrolled in the non-conversion charters, and only 2 children with autism in San Diego. In Los Angeles, there is a similar pattern where the likelihood that a child with a more complex disability is enrolled in a charter is 1/4 that of traditional public schools. Many places a similar pattern exists for English language learners. That in Boston, for instance, where 20% of children are English language learners, there is only 1 charter that exceeds 4% in its enrollment of English language learners. Why is this a problem, this under-enrollment? Number one, it compromises the charter experiment. In other words, if you're not serving comparable kids, it's difficult to make assertions. Secondly, it raises civil rights concerns. Third, the financial burden for educating these children may fall disproportionately on the traditional public schools. In light of this, I recommend the following. One, that states proactively address the issue of underrepresentation of special populations. The Secretary of Education should be required to approve authorizing regulations to make sure that federal statutes are adhered to when schools are authorized. But also, states should be required to demonstrate to the Secretary that they are supporting charters in serving special populations. Most charter operators want to do this, but need assistance in doing this. And last, I believe we should be funding, as the bill calls for, research on best practices in charter schools. And I believe it's time for us to have a systematic study done by the National Research Council on the service for special populations in charter schools. Charters are no longer an experiment in the American education system, and thankfully they are a well-established part of the education system, but it's time for us to make sure that charters serve all children. Thank you very much.